Hello, welcome. Sacred Work in Progress today with AnnMarie. I am pretty excited to chat with AnnMarie today. I think everyone listening in is going to find this pretty interesting. She is I guess, like a strategist for women in business is kind of like the main overarching idea for what she's doing. And a lot of that surrounds themes of numerology as kind of her core methodology that she kind of digs deep through and kind of uncovers a lot of things in people's businesses and helps them connect to themselves and kind of their soul's mission. And we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and read her bio because I just love what she has on the top of her bio here for you. And so, welcome to a sacred space where self discovery and empowerment unfolds, a haven for kindred spirits who, like you, have raced down the path of relentless achievement, only to crave something deeper. I'm AnnMarie, your guide in the dance of light and shadow, a soulful business strategist, heart centered leader, and certified numerology queen. My experience mirrors yours. I hustled, achieved, and at times lost myself in the process. Yet from this struggle emerged an awakening to become a high achiever who stays grounded. I discovered the sweet spot between hustle and flow, embracing both the divine feminine and divine masculine within us all. My transformative approach harmoniously blends the timeless insights of numerology with heart centered coaching and holistic wellness principles. This fusion empowers you to unearth your authentic self and step into a chapter of fulfilling your soul's true purpose while increasing your capacity for more love and abundance. I just love that. I just love that.
Thank
And I
you.
felt it was like so fitting for, I feel, a lot of the work that I'm kind of also leaning into and just a very different expression. And also really
Mhm.
like spoke to the core kind of themes, I think, of the podcast itself. So I was just delighted by that. And yeah, how did you get here? I just don't even like, how do we come to being a numerology queen? That's like,
Right. Yeah. Well, it wasn't a straight line, that's for sure. It
never
was
is.
definitely a winding road, a roller coaster. A lot kicked off in 2014 after losing my mother to cancer, and going through that with her and my family is really when I tuned into emotional intelligence for the first time. And I chose a couple of feelings to ground myself every day and decided to make choices from that powerful place to go through this terrible, awful, horrible thing together. And it was beautiful. Not only did I notice a difference in how I was showing up in tragedy, but my family noticed as well, and it impacted them in a positive way. So after I evaluated my entire life and really wanted to strip everything down to the nuts and bolts and just question, what am I doing? What's my purpose? Why am I here? And am I reaching my full potential? And I knew the answer was no, in a lot of ways. And so one thing that I knew for sure was understanding emotional intelligence, and using this as like emotional intentionality was something significant, and had such a positive impact that I wanted to shout it from the rooftop. So I started from that place and built a side hustle, and I started gathering women in parks, in woods, and facilitating workshops and trainings. And then that expanded into couples and teens and nonprofits and boardrooms and corporations. And in 2020, many of us were forced to pivot. I was, gathering people in person and doing retreats. And when I shifted online, a friend said, "Hey, I think you would really appreciate this 5-day challenge that I'm joining," because at the time our financial foundation really fell apart. And I was talking about money, and anyways, I ended up in this 5-day challenge, and it was all about numerology. And the woman that was mentoring me, Megan Alton, she spoke to my heart. Like I heard it as truth. I heard it as a remembrance, like that I already knew this information. Like as I was taking it in, I didn't know it, but there was something about me on a cellular level that already knew it, that saw this as truth. And so, I'm sure you can understand this. Once you know it, you can't unknow it. So once I started learning that numbers have a vibration and frequency, which is exactly what emotional intelligence was all about, was understanding the vibration of these emotions and making choices based on that, it just seemed like a natural, perfect fit. And so I started integrating this to help people really figure out who it is that they are, to help them strip themselves down to the nuts and bolts, and really get to, well, this is how I'm wired, this is what I'm coded for, this is me when I'm not at the top of my game, this is me when I'm shining my brightest, this is my soul's purpose, this is my contract in this lifetime. And what I loved about it versus something like astrology, which I really love as well, was that it came a lot easier because we have played with numbers our entire lives. And so it was very complex, but it was very simple to understand that code. And then when I shifted it over from a business perspective, I was like, wow, this really does help us better understand people, purpose, profits, and planning. That planning piece was really important too. Seeing the cycles and the patterns that we're in and being able to make choices that align with that for amplified results.
Yeah, this is so cool. My gosh, as you were talking, I had like five things that I could reply to, and it was like, I just, one thing that was the first thing I think that was standing out was you speaking to Megan, I think you said her name was Megan,
Hmm. Hmm.
sharing this with you and you feeling it like as a remembrance. And I'm like, how often do we just like, I feel like I know a lot of people, they get like chills or like, they just feel like the truth resonance of something, that like frequency
Hmm.
just comes through and it's like, oh yes, this is, I feel it in my body. That's how you experience that, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I love that. And I also, I couldn't help it, like, just like feel like the weight of you sharing how it all began, because I feel like for so many of us, it, big change does start that way. It starts from this like really challenging place. And I think it's beautiful what you have like just transmuted and done with that. And I also love that you shared that it was this like light for others in your family. Like that's so beautiful too. That's
Yeah.
so beautiful. Yeah, I think that what most intrigues me about what you spoke to in numerology is this idea of looking to the future with it. Because
Hmm.
I mean, granted, on one level, I'm like, okay, let's stay here and now, right? Like, we got to like be here. Like, what are we doing today about this? But at the same time, like for greatest potential for success, I think as entrepreneurs, looking ahead on some level is like a must. Like you have to, and that is not
Hmm.
my strength. I live very much in the here and now. I like almost can't, I mean, I can pull up a chart and look into the future and
Yeah.
things like that, but I'm not a planner. So that really like
Hmm.
calls to me. Do you find that you work with a lot of people who struggle with long-term
Yes.
planning?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know your energetic code from a numerology perspective as well. And it's funny that you're bringing this up because it made me giggle. I'm like, oh, she's not a planner. She wants to be, but I don't think that she is.
Oh my goodness.
But you, it doesn't mean that you're not ambitious. You are. You're very determined in terms of your creativity and bringing your creativity into the world. But having a plan per se is not is not your area of
Yeah.
expertise. No, and that's
Well,
okay. We're not all meant to have all the same gifts, right? I would say that here's something that you can probably relate to. Like when I was a little girl, I loved it in movies when that woman or that man would show up and they would have a crystal ball, right? Or what was that movie with Tom Hanks where they went to the fortune teller and it gave them like a fortune,
I
right?
don't know.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean? It was probably like called Beggar. So I think it was called Beggar, something like that. And that always intrigued me. Like when I was a child, I always wanted that. I was like, how do I get a crystal ball? And numerology is really the closest thing that I've been able to get to it. And it's not, I hesitate to say that it's predictable. Like we can't necessarily predict the future with it. In some ways, it has extremely strengthened my intuition and my psychic abilities. And so I do get more hits of the future and what's to come. But more importantly, it helps us just better understand the energetic patterns and cycles and rhythms, the natural rhythms that are here on Earth in the collective. So we understand what everybody else is going through, and then there's also a layer for ourselves as well. And when we're able to bring it into something as simple as understanding that we go through these 9-year cycles, and there's many cycles, but just looking at a 9-year cycle, for example, we're starting one in 2026. So we know, okay, so what's going to begin and start and new chapters for 2026 is something that's going to radiate for the next 9 years. So when we hear that, especially for my clients who do have a really difficult time casting a vision for the future, when they hear that, then they think, oh, okay, what I do right here, right now is going to impact the next 9 years. Then that gives them that little kick in the ass that they need to really think about it. And one of the best ways that we do that is consider, well, where have you been? When you look back in 9 years ago, what was going on for you in 2016, 2017? And that's when we have those big aha moments of, wow, in a lot of ways, I'm a completely different person. My business is completely different. Supports us to recognize that, we don't get to control all of it as much as we would love to and want to. We don't get to control all of it. There's going to be a lot of things that happen that are absolutely outside of our control. But what is it that I do have control of as a leader, as somebody that wants to build a legacy? And then we can tune into, again, the energetics of that through emotional intelligence. And then we can take it a layer deeper through heart intelligence, like understanding coherence, regulate our nervous system, just to make sure that we are, whatever's happening, that we are grounded from in a place that we can react in a way that when we look back, we're really proud of ourselves. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And I feel like I didn't really expect you to speak to some of that more nervous system intelligence um,
Hmm.
in this conversation necessarily, but is that something that you also work with clients on and kind of that?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I mean, from that grounded, centered place, so much more is possible for sure.
Yeah. I really focus on energetic intelligence as a whole. Numerology is a really large piece of that because it does start with self leadership. It does start with better understanding who it is that we are, what it is that we came here to do, our purpose, who we are here to serve. We are actually coded to soulmate clients, we are actually coded to gifts. And we are here to solve problems for specific people. So many spiritual entrepreneurs step into this world out of necessity because their nervous system is rocked. They can't handle people anymore. They can't handle the negativity, the drama, the burnout, the overwhelm, the stress, like all of the pressure. So they decide to do it for themselves and they end up repeating patterns unknowingly, unconsciously, and find themselves in that exact same cycle. And numerology is that piece that says, hey, remember who you are. Wake up. Like, you are not meant to do everything for everybody. In doing that, you end up serving no one. So come back. You, as a ruling number 5, I'm not surprised that you like to have your hands in different pots because you're an agent of change. You want fun, you want adventure, you want it to be playful, and you're also a teacher. You gather wisdom. You're kind of a hoarder of knowledge, and you love teaching that and you love sharing that. And the 5 sits in the middle of an energetic grid, and you have 2 5s. And so it makes absolute sense why you would do that. If somebody else had their hands in multiple pots like you with a completely different energetic code, it wouldn't work.
Yeah, that's so interesting. I'm constantly just, I feel like every time I learn about a new system, let's say, they were like a method of inner discovery, whether
Yeah.
I'm very interested in astrology, obviously, human design. I study the gene keys, like, and I
Mhm.
have understanding of all of the ways that these different systems kind of uncover a lot of the same things that you're speaking to here. And it's like they show me the same thing, but from a different lens. And
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah.
like all of the things that you named about myself that I'm very self-aware. I'm probably too self-aware, but you
Yeah.
know, I see all of that in my charts, I should
Mhm.
say.
Yeah.
It's like just confirmations on top of confirmations that I'm in many ways doing exactly what I should be doing.
Mhm. And it gives you confidence, right? That validation. You feel so seen. You feel so heard and understood. And it gives you that confidence to just go and do what it is that you want to
Yeah,
do.
again and again, I refer to it as like a permission slip that you didn't know you needed. Like it's just, yeah, very motivating
It's a
too.
beautiful place. Hmm.
Yeah, gave me some courage in some instances as well. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I can attest to that as well.
yeah. Are you willing to share a little bit about your design and anything that you've learned about yourself through this process?
Oh,
I know that's a little.
there was a lot of breakdowns to breakthroughs, that's for sure. It was eye opening in a lot of ways in terms of seeing that I have known this about myself since I was a young child, but watching fear take over and keep me playing small because of this desire of wanting to be liked and loved. It's not easy telling people that you're psychic, that you've actually spoken to ghosts or entities since you were little. It's not easy even being a spiritual teacher, like moving into that realm, especially when you've been a certain person for a very long time. It's difficult for family and friends and the people that you surrounded yourself to understand that. And hearing that I'm a seven of clubs, for example, which is literally the spiritual teacher, it took me down for a couple of weeks, if I'm being honest, because there was this disappointment in myself that I knew this all along, and yet I wasn't living up to my highest potential. And I had to get over that. I have double nines in my chart as well. So I have very high standards of myself and other people. Perfectionism has been something that I have had to work through for many, many years, and expecting perfection out of other people as well. And so once I was able to forgive myself and move forward in a way that is more loving and kind and caring and compassionate, then, as you said, it gave me that confidence that I needed to show up and be visible and be that lighthouse for other people, knowing what it is that I know. I know a lot of things. I've studied astrology since I was young. My partner will say, "Oh, there's a new documentary about aliens," and most of the time I've already seen it. It's something that I was looking into when I was in my teens, in my early 20s, but I suppressed it and I stuffed that down and didn't often bring that up in front of other people because it made them uncomfortable. And so numerology for me was like a peeling back of those layers to help me not give a shit about making other people uncomfortable anymore, like if I'm being perfectly honest. But on the flip side of that, also seeing that, like, I see in people what they don't see in themselves. And I have always been that person that has said, "Hey, you are amazing. You are incredible. This is what I see. These are your gifts. This is what you're brilliant at," when they don't see it in themselves, and have been a cheerleader for many people for many years. And so to really just pull all this together and say, listen, you're a strategist. You grew up in an entrepreneurial world. Strategy is one of your top strengths. Communication is one of your top strengths. Ideation, relationships, pull all of this together. What does this look like? Just go and do that. And there was this part of me that's like, it seems too easy. It can it be that easy? And again, there was like this rewiring of hard work pays off, but really hard work doesn't always pay off. That had to get out of the way in order for me to do that. And then all of a sudden I doubled my income. It was absolutely crazy. And not that I had clients that I didn't like working with. I absolutely have always liked the people that I've worked with, but the client shifted as well. More people started showing up who weren't in victim consciousness, who were ready to be the creator of their lives and build a business that had meaning, and that they wanted it to be rooted in legacy. This was something that they wanted to have a positive ripple effect, like not only in this lifetime but beyond as well. It was
Yeah.
really cool. It is
Those
really cool.
mirrors are always at work in like a lot of different dimensions almost where, yeah, when
Mhm.
you're living at that frequency, you're like calling in exactly that.
Mhm.
You're inviting that in. And um, what was I going to say? There's something else I was going to say. Oh, when you were talking about like, can it be that easy? Like just living, wholly as yourself and, bringing all of your gifts to the table. And like, one of my favorite things is easy is right. Like
Yeah.
easy is right. I have to continually remind myself of that. And like so many people, like they just can't see how all of my parts fit together, and yet they all just, for me, flow effortlessly. They
Mhm.
live in the same world. I can't
Mhm.
look at somebody's business and their brand without thinking about like, oh, I wonder what her design is. Like I can't unsee them. I have to see them at,
Yeah.
I'm and it, I can put one in a shoebox if I must, but in the back of my mind I'm like, I really would like to know her
Mhm.
astrology because it would be way cooler if we understood that part. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Well, you'll love hearing this as well. When I looked into my soulmate client code, it was the Four of Hearts. And as I said earlier, I started this business on the heels of losing my mom. And one of the reasons why the vision I have in my business is to ensure every soul reaches their full potential in this lifetime is because I felt that she didn't get that opportunity to do that. My mom's the Four of Hearts. That's her sun card.
Can you tell me what that means? Because I don't.
Well, first of all, that was one of those breakdowns to breakthroughs where I didn't know this in 2014. I was building this business for my mom. I was doing what I was doing because I knew that if there was something that I could learn from that tragedy, it was that I have an opportunity to reach my full potential. She didn't get to, but maybe reaching her full potential was reminding me of what my full potential was. And then therefore she did. And so to build this business and then to realize that my soulmate client code is Four of Hearts and that's her sun card absolutely blew me away. There was a lot of tears. And I'm like, to know that intuitively I came to that conclusion, not even seeing or knowing the energetics behind it. And that Four of Hearts is this person that wants it all. They want to have cosmic love. They want to have a beautiful family and relationships that are meaningful, but they also want to be really successful in business. And they struggle with that self-sacrifice piece of it can only be one and not both. And it's very common. Many of the people that come into my world, they either have a great relationship with their partner, but they want to have more orgasms, they want to have more connection, or they want to get divorced. There's kind of a joke in my community. For a while, I said maybe my like sub hidden tagline is like build a business, get divorced, because there were so many people that
Wow.
were separating from their partner, and it a lot of it had to do with again this awakening for them, this remembering of who it is that they are, and then all of a sudden there's this recognition that this person that's beside me that I want to be my biggest cheerleader and my biggest fan and my biggest supporter doesn't have a fucking clue, like has no idea who I am, what it is that I want to do, and isn't supporting me to reach my highest potential. And so what does that look like for me? Are they in the way, or are they supporting me to move towards that mission? And so there's a lot of big choices, there's a
Yeah,
lot of big
that
changes
sounds
that
heavy
happen. Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, obviously my favorite are the stories of, even if they are separated, like it is those stories of finding cosmic love, which I get to experience that through my clients as well quite often. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was something I was going to ask you, and now my brain just like escaped. It just went. I was going to ask you something. I wanted to ask you about 2026, but there was something I was like, let me ask this before I go there.
Mm,
Maybe it'll come to me. Maybe it'll come to
okay.
me. So we have very little left of 2025. Can you
Yeah.
speak just briefly, maybe to what the energy of 2025 on a collective level was, from based on your understanding, based on numerology, and then what we can expect moving into 2026?
I'd love to. 2025 has been a rise from the shadows and lead with light type moment. And when I say that, it really did drag us through the shadows. And it really did feel like not only were we dragged through the shadows, but we had a parachute behind us and we were walking through the mud, because it's been this closing out of cycles, this closing out of things that no longer serve us, that aren't in alignment with us anymore. Again, when we look back 2016, 2017, who were we? What were our intentions? I know for me, I was about to go all in my business, and who I was when I, started the side hustle. And then when I went all in is very different than who I am right here, right now. So there's been this shedding. It's also the year of the snake. There's been, like you said, these mirrors, but not just a mirror. I see mirrors more so in that eight energy, but the nine is more like that mirror in Harry Potter. And I forget the name of it, but remember when he was able to see his parents, he was able to kind of see into the future. He was able to see into what is it that his heart truly desires. And that's what 2025 has been for us. Like, as we've been trudging through the shadows and learning how to like forgive and let go and release and allow things to come to completion or allow things to die, that we can actually move forward in a way that feels really good. And so 2026 is the start of a new cycle. It's this one energy. And it really is all about self leadership, like really dialing into who it is that we are, what it is that we came here to do, and to finish up anything like self-sabotage, self-sacrifice, any of those not so great aspects of ourselves, to again move into something like self-love, self-care, self-compassion, self-regulation, self-control, um, all of those beautiful things. And what I love about the self leadership piece as well, and moving into 2026, is that this is an opportunity for us to learn that it's not just about us, but it does have to be about us. In order for us to actually be of service to the world, we need to put ourselves front and center and fill our cup. And if generosity is a part of your strategic plan, which I know it is for me and it is for my community and all of my clients, that, the more we have, the more we can give. But often we just give. We still hang out in the masculine, so many of us spiritual entrepreneurs, because we're wired for that, the over giving, the people pleasing, the doing things that make other people feel comfortable rather than doing what really feels good in our own heart. So we're stripping that away, and we're moving into this art of reciprocity as well in leadership. Like, again, it's not selfishness to be selfish and in service to myself, but it's selfishness to be in service to the collective, which that excites me. And what comes with all of that is new beginnings, this opportunity to experiment, to try new things. This one energy is planting seeds, wishing upon a star, right? Setting new goals, setting new intentions, but also not white knuckling it anymore. And I'm saying this to you because, again, you have that arrow of determination, you have the arrow of ambition. We're letting go of, well, I'm going to do this thing because I said I'm going to do it, and I'm a woman of my word, I'm committed. We're not doing that anymore, because if it doesn't feel good, what's the point? If it's not bringing you joy, if it's not bringing you freedom, if it's not fun, we're not doing it anymore. If it's not creating abundance, we're not doing it. If it doesn't feel good, we're not doing it anymore. And then learning how to authentically communicate that to other people. I know I made this commitment, and it was something that felt really good and felt really aligned, but X, Y, and Z happened. And then therefore it's just not, it's not a good fit anymore. And so I'm not going to choose this, and I'm going to move in a different direction. And learning how to make those changes and those decisions, doing so a lot quicker, to then I guess build up our autonomy, like build up our sovereignty, like to really again tune into, like, if this is how I want to feel, I'm going to choose this. That didn't feel how it is that I want to feel, so I'm going to choose differently.
Yeah. Choosing differently is not always easy when you're built
No.
something. And I feel like I have come into contact with a number of women who recently, who I feel like they were like going, 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 and then they got to this point and they just like couldn't anymore. It was like,
Mhm.
my last guest, actually, she was like, she felt like she was at just like, the pinnacle of her career. And it was like, oh, like, but no, this isn't, like, I'm standing here on my mountain, but I don't even want the mountain, like.
Yeah. Yeah. I know several of the people that I work with, particularly this woman who goes into the Akashic records for me. I said, I just want to throw it out. I just want to throw the pot of soup out. And she's like, AnnMarie, can you please just add some salt? Like, just put some more spices into it, because what you've built is a beautiful foundation, but there's just something a little different that needs to change. And so I want everybody to be reminded of that. Like, for some, it is a complete stripping and something entirely brand new. And for others, it's just a different perspective. So, an example of this would be, I used to offer a soulful planner, which was a book. It was giant, it was bulky, it was rooted in numerology. And I don't want to do it anymore. The graphic designer every single year has been a pain in my ass. They've either ghosted or they just haven't produced high quality. And I'm like, what? Like, this. why is this happening? Because this is a tool that I need. Like, I don't know how to live my life without a planner that has all the numerology coded into it. I'm like, what's going on here? And then meeting with another fellow coach who, you know, works with entrepreneurs as well, and helps them with human design, was like, well, have you ever thought of doing it this way? And she just like was like, oh, just like do it digital. And everything about, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. I'm like, why didn't I think of that? And, you know, just this $1 million idea drops in. So it's not, oh, you're not going to do that anymore. It's just, you're just going to do it differently. And as soon as that idea came in, and I could feel that flow, I was like, oh, that's the direction that I'm meant to go. So it's not a complete throwing out of the bathwater or the pot of soup, as I was saying, but just doing things a little bit differently. And there's the reason for that as well is we're all in our own different cycles. So it's a universal, it's a collective nine we're in 2025. It's a collective universal one energy that we're in 2026. But we have our own cycles as well. Right now, I'm in a personal year 5, and 5 evokes change. So when I couple that 5 and 9 together, and that 5 and 1, like shit's going down. Like there's huge walls that are coming up, of like, no, like this isn't supporting my sovereignty. This is not helping me buy back my time in my business. So I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
And then I'm moving into a 6 and 1. And so all of that change, that 6 is going to support me to smooth out the rough edges of change. It's going to help me just really come home to what it is that I've created. So there's the universal, and then there's the personal as well. So there's another layer that's added in there as well.
And I'm guessing you just look at essentially how those two energies play together. Is that the
Hmm.
idea? Kind of.
Yeah.
I mean, that's similar to astrology, I guess, where you have your own personal chart and the collective,
Yeah.
transits are happening. And then I'm looking at how my personal planets are interacting or not interacting with
Hmm.
collective planets and
Hmm.
their movements. So cool.
Yeah.
So cool.
Numerology, it has astrology in it. Astrology can't exist without numerology. Numerology can't exist without astrology. They're the only two systems that I tune into because they're ancient, they're rooted in math and science, and we have thousands upon thousands of years of data in terms of its accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, everything that I study is all based on astrology essentially, which
Hmm.
is, yeah, that's like a whole world. It really is. But I can't help but feel like all of these different systems, they are bringing people to the same conclusion somehow. And it's just different things resonate for different people. They feel it, maybe have that remembrance. Maybe you did this in your
Hmm.
past life, like that kind of
Hmm.
just whatever lands for
Hmm.
different people, whatever, makes sense and people can
Hmm.
connect with. And yeah.
The what I love, I'm somebody who, I was in corporate team building for a very long time, and so I have tuned into almost every single personality test that there is. And why I always come back to numerology and astrology and set all the other ones aside is because it doesn't put you in a box like all the others do. There's so many people I see, they walk away from something and they're like, well, I'm a generator, and so therefore this is what I do, or I'm a projector, and so I have to wait for permission, and they put themselves in a box, and then it ends up being constrictive instead of expansive. Whereas systems like numerology and astrology, there, it's not a box per se, there's all of these layers, but there's also the energetic bandwidth of the frequency of it. There's a low frequency, and then there's a high frequency, and there's everything in between. So if you're a ruling number 3, for example, so many people experience anxiety. That's me. I was definitely somebody who experienced a lot of anxious feelings. You can see this in kids, young kids these days. They're like, well, I have anxiety. No, you don't have anxiety. You have anxious feelings. And some people are coded to be a little bit more anxious than other people, but it doesn't define that's who you are. It's a lesson. It's something for you to learn and move through. And when you can set that aside, then all of a sudden you move into this other frequency or vibration where you recognize that creativity equals abundance, and abundance is your birthright. So if you can learn to navigate anxiety and elevate and transmute that energy and that emotion, then you move into the higher side of it. It's more of a map or a pathway of like, okay, this is what you came here to do. Whereas I find other systems are more absolute. Does that make sense?
I mean, you're certainly entitled to whatever perspective you have
Yeah.
for those things. I have not had that experience with feeling boxed
Good.
in. However, with I could see some people feeling that way.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have our own experience with different things, but I feel like I'm a person with a lot of. I mean, I'm a Sagittarius, so I'm like, and I have like a stellium in Sagittarius, so a lot of that, mutable fire energy where like I cannot be contained. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not unlike me to be like, oh no, I'm not getting inside this box, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I could see other people maybe feeling differently based on
Mm-hmm.
design and just how they
Yeah.
experience,
Hmm.
whatever
Yeah.
the information they come across or what, and I see too that there's like levels of understanding and emotional awareness connecting to yourself,
Hmm.
to your potential, to, limiting
Yeah.
beliefs, to all of like, I just, again, I
Yeah.
can't help but see like a lot of the different things at play at the same time. So it's like,
At the end of the day, I don't care what people choose,
yeah,
as long as it supports them to remember who they are and what they came here
yeah,
to do. And if it's moving them in a direction of reaching their fullest and highest potential, then go for it.
yeah,
Just continue to stay curious and continue to ask questions and continue to peel back the layers.
yeah, the layers,
Yeah.
just layers upon layers upon layers.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. That's a beautiful way to look at it, and I definitely feel the same. I feel like the world is our oyster with, all of these different ways that we can choose to study and connect to self and just keep evolving,
Mm-hmm.
and it's, yeah, to each their own for sure. I mean, yeah, I love this conversation. Is there anything you're excited about right now? I don't want to take up too much of your time today, but uh,
What am I excited about right now? Um, I am excited about how many people have already started to come online, who have started to wake up, who have started to become self aware, and who are also waking up to the matrix that we live in, this grid that we are coded to, and who are learning to play with those energies, who are remembering that all of us here on Earth School have a mission, and our purpose is to learn how to transmute energies. And so it's fun. I'm really excited about that as all of this new innovation shows up. AI is like a whole topic of conversation, whether it's in integrity or not. But one thing that I can see is just like when the internet showed up, it's connected us. In a lot of ways, it's disconnected us, but in a lot of ways, it is connecting us. And it's information. There's more information at our fingertips like ever before. And for those people, especially like yourself, 3 1s, you're an ideator, you're going to have a million ideas. Now we have so many tools and so many systems to like actually make it happen and make it happen quickly. Yeah, so I'm very excited about that, especially with
yeah,
people who are interested in being entrepreneurs and starting a business. Like now, it's never been easier, in my opinion. It doesn't mean that there isn't challenges. There's definitely challenges being an entrepreneur, but in a lot of ways, it's never been easier.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that there's so many people. I feel like also kind of coming online like you, like I, that are acting as guides for some of these people. I've been an entrepreneur for 15 years, and it's like it is a lot when you first start,
Yeah.
all of the different things. And I love that it is more accessible now. I feel like there's just all of that information is there. Like if you want it, you can obtain that information and run with it. Do you
Absolutely.
credit to a lot of this kind of coming online of just people and our awarenesses and also like the entrepreneurial space to that 9 year?
Yes, that's one aspect of it. And I also feel that we're being blasted, we're being supported in the unseen world in ways that we can't even fathom to support us to wake up. The veil has been lifted for us. It was meant to happen years ago, but as above, so below. Um, we feel like we're in a polarizing dualistic energy, and we are, and that there's been a spiritual war that's been happening as well. But we're being supported, we're being guided, and we're moving in the right direction. And I know it doesn't feel like it, for many people. And what I would say is stop watching the news and stop listening to the radio if that's how you feel. Um, and I do like the direction that we're going. It's going to take some work. It's going to take a lot more people waking up. It's going to take a lot more people speaking up. It's not just about being aware and knowing. It's like, do you actually care about it? If you're not doing something about it, do you actually care about it? It's going to take a lot of people taking action, which they're not used to. But I believe that we have the capacity to make those changes that are necessary for us, for humanity, for the earth. And like I said, we have everything that we need now at our fingertips. That's why I'm an entrepreneur. That's why I support other entrepreneurs, because I see it as the fastest and the quickest and the most efficient way to support people and to support and have impact in large groups of people, to be able to help roll with the quickening that's been happening here on Earth.
Yeah, I love that. I love all that you shared today, AnnMarie, and I'm so grateful that we had a chance to connect. And
Me
I will
too.
definitely have all of your links available so everyone can connect with you, find you on socials, check out your beautiful website. Sounds like
Thank
you're
you.
creating a new one possibly, but yeah, it's there.
There's an upgrade.
It's
It's a universal one.
I'm
There's
sure it's
gonna
only
be an
getting better
upgrade.
because it's beautiful now.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you have anything else you want to share before we go, or do you feel complete? I feel like you ended it on
I
a
would love
beautiful note, but yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I would love to connect. So if there's anybody who enjoyed this conversation, you want to carry forward with that, then head over to my website, AnnMarieMcKenzie.com, and you can find me on socials and send me a DM, and we'll talk. I would love that.
Thank you so
Yeah,
much, AnnMarie. And thank you,
thank you.
listeners. If you enjoyed this, I would love a rating, review, whatever it is on whatever platform you're listening to this on, so others can find us too. And yeah, have a beautiful rest of your day wherever you're headed next. Thank you.